control the vertigo.
Welcome to Anthologic, the TV anthology podcast. I am your host, Mark. Anthologic is a podcast dedicated to exploring the good, the bad, and the odd of horror, science fiction, and the best of mystery suspense anthology shows and series on TV. Join me as we slip through the cracks of reality to approach the extremes of experience, where we can peruse the stories and art of a sinister fairground of strange and wonderful rides. And now we go on to the show that is the focus of this particular episode. Welcome to this episode of Anthologic with your host Mark. Today I am talking about Alfred Hitchcock Presents. No, not that one. The 1985 TV series. It was restarted, retried, redone in 1985. Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and it was sometimes called The New Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Commonly known now really as Alfred Hitchcock Presents 1985. So they restarted the series. Now, I don't know if all of the episodes were this, but most of the episodes, I believe, were redos of ones from the original series or the Alfred Hitchcock Hour or Alfred Hitchcock Presents series. It started on September 29th, 1995 and ran for one season on NBC, and then in the USA network for 3 more seasons, comprised of 4 seasons, plus a pilot, and the pilot is the one I'm talking about tonight. The pilot aired on the May the 5th, 1985. The season 1 started on September the 29th, 1985, not long after that pilot. But it's interesting they got a break between the pilot and the start of the season. Very, very interesting. That ran for the year, and then there was a season 2 was in 1987, season 3 in 1988, and season 4 1988 to 1989. So it finally finished on July the 22nd, 1989. I'm just getting my notebook because I had to work this out. There were 81 episodes in all, if you include the pilot as 4 distinct episodes. The pilot was broadcast as one, but there are basically 4 distinct stories, which I'm going to be talking about tonight. Interesting cast lists, if you look at it, what's going on. Just the pilot alone has got some real high hitters, but for example, in the series, you've got the likes of Andy Garcia, Karen Allen, Tom Atkins, Joaquin Phoenix, a very, very young Joaquin Phoenix, and so on in the main series. And this one doesn't seem to be talked about much, really, but it's quite an interesting anthology series. My estimation of it's gone up quite a bit, since watching this pilot, because I hadn't seen any, and just it was all hearsay or reading about it. But some directors who helmed some of these episodes of this series include Tim Burton, so that's kind of interesting. And I don't know if they continued this conceit, but in the pilot film, some of the episodes actually have Alfred Hitchcock at the beginning. One's got him colorized, but I think they're basically reusing the same intros he used on the original episodes and stories. And yeah, the colorization dates it a little because it's not very good. I think if they'd left it black and white, it would have dated it less, bizarrely, actually. But yeah, it's interesting. Now, the first 4 stories, covered in the pilot, and each story is about 22 minutes, I'd say, something like that, 22, 23 minutes. These, as I've already said, were redos of previous stories. In fact, one of them I've seen in more than one anthology series. So that's interesting. Right, so the first story in these 4 is one called Incident in a Small Jail, directed by Joel Oliansky, and written by Joel Oliansky and Henry Slezar. And originally a redo of an episode that was on Alfred Hitchcock Presents Season 6, Episode 23, Incident in a Small Jail. Main star is Ned Beatty. Really great episode, this. Really good. I didn't quite see the twist coming, and there was a twist at the end, and not all of them necessarily have to have a twist, but this one did. And Ned Beatty really delivered on this. He is terrific. It's a really good presence. He's having to deal with... He's taken into jail mistakenly because his car... There was an incident reported against the vehicle, but he sort of explains, no, I got the car after that incident. Please look it up. While he's in the jail, he gets thrown in with a drifter who's kind of accused of murder. A young girl has been murdered. And what happens is the townsfolk, the father in particular, don't want to wait for courts. It's sort of rough justice, right? But the man who is supposed to have done the killing makes him swap clothes and get out of there. So he takes the rap and he has to talk himself out of it. There's some really tense moments in this. And I have to say the twist was absolutely terrific. I really liked it. I thought the whole episode was very solid, and a good bang, a bang to start with, really. Very, very solid. I have to say none of these stories or episodes were bad. The worst one was pretty good, and the 2 of them, which includes this one I'm talking about, were excellent, I'd say. One of them was very good, and one was okay. It was good, I'd say. Really enjoyable. These are all on YouTube. You can get all of these on YouTube, so any of these you can find and watch. Incident in a Small Jail was a big recommend for me. I really enjoyed it. It was the second best of these 4, in my opinion. But it was very, very good. And it only comes second because the first one is so a kind of an iconic anthology story. It's been redone a few times and done again and again, and it's kind of memorable. And in fact, the star presence they've got in the second episode is quite something. So let's just get on to that second episode. This is Man from the South, based on a story by Roald Dahl. Now, this was done in the original Alfred Hitchcock Presents Season 5, Episode 15, but it was also the very first episode of the quite famous Roald Dahl's Tales of the Unexpected series, the British anthology series. They basically had exactly the same story. So it's a very familiar story. Essentially, a man bets another man that his light will work 10 times in a row, and if it doesn't, a finger gets cut off. That's the bet. Yeah, you might well know this one, and you'll know the twist, you'll know the story, and so on. What really adds to this is the presence of who's in it. The young man in this case betting on his lighter is Stephen Bauer. The old man betting against him is John Huston. And John Huston's great in this role as this sinister, sort of affable but sinister, sort of an elder statesman figure. They're in Vegas. Vegas is an extremely appropriate setting for this kind of story. But also his girlfriend, Stephen Bauer's character's girlfriend in this, is Melanie Griffith, which is kind of amazing to see her in this. In addition, we have Tippi Hedren, who is Melanie Griffith's mother, as a waitress. And we also have Kim Novak appear as like the other half of John Huston's character, the who kind of stops the bet towards the end, and in that we get the twist. Now, interesting, isn't it? Right? So Kim Novak and Tippi Hedren have in their time been Hitchcock ladies. Tippi Hedren in particular, in I think Marnie and the Birds. She might be in others. Kim Novak was in Vertigo, I think, if I remember rightly. So there's a bit of a nod there, and there's also this one. I think it's this one has a feature where we get Hitchcock in a jail lineup on his own, trying to explain his crime of moving to TV work. I had to feed my family and things like that, is what he's saying. It's kind of okay, but a bit odd. And I was thinking, how did they do that? But apparently he did that in the original version, original series, one of the episodes. I don't know which one, but it was kind of interesting. Very, very famous Roald Dahl story. Maybe one of the most famous ones. Really well done. Really enjoyed this. I knew what was coming. Didn't matter. Still enjoyed it greatly. This was the best of these four, but Incident in a Small Jail is very close with this one. Then we come to the third one, which I think is probably the weakest story in this element, but it's still okay. It was a redo of an episode of Alfred Hitchcock from season 7, episode 2. It's called Bang You're Dead. The premise is a fairly simple one. The elevator stand is kid gets a real gun thinking it's a toy and then wanders around town using it as thinking it's a toy and pointing at people. Everyone thinks it's a toy because the kid's got it, but in fact it's a real gun and there's real bullets involved. So there's that tension, ticking sort of time bomb tension of will or won't the kid shoot someone, and if so, who? And this kid actually gets annoyed by another kid right at the beginning, so you kind of I think I know where this is going. This one was okay. I quite enjoyed it. I watched it. It felt a bit padded. The conceit is almost a 10-minute segment of the Night Gallery. That's probably what it should have been. That sort of length. It's a bit stretched at 20 minutes, this whole thing. This kid wandering out, people realising there's a gun and all this. Got a cool uncle who's carrying a gun because he works in an area of the world where he needs to protect himself. Stuff like that. That's the justification. Yeah, this one was okay. I didn't mind it. But I won't say any more than that. The last one I really liked. An Unlocked Window. It was helped quite a lot by a young and very effective Annette O'Toole, and Bruce Davison was in it too. This was from originally done in the Alfred Hitchcock Hour, season 3, episode 17. I really like this. It was well directed and really well put together. The only issue I had really was I saw the twist coming almost at the beginning. There's something very obvious. You kind of know where this is going to go. That doesn't diminish the tension and sort of attitude of the episode and the performances and the script. I thought they were all good, but I just knew what the twist was, and I was just waiting to see how it was delivered. It didn't overstay its welcome. It wasn't padded. I felt like it was paced really well, as were the first two stories, and it kind of felt enjoyable. So An Unlocked Window was a big recommend, and Annette O'Toole really delivered. I think she's always good to watch. It's good to see her and stuff. This pilot I think was a very solid set of episodes and set up the season really well. And I probably will be watching more of these at some point because I didn't expect them to be this good, but they were very good. They're American TV standard, it's on videotape and so on, but even so I thought it was a very enjoyable watch, and one that really wasn't on my radar as one that really needs a bit of a visit and a work through. But just looking at the cast, I'm really interested in this. For example, in season 1, there's a few episodes. There's one with Robert Carradine. There's one with Barbara Hershey. There's one with Susan Hubley. One with Linda Fiorentino. One with Martin Sheen. Mary Lou Henner. This just goes on and on. This is really interesting. I'm kind of keen. Oh, one with Yaphet Kotto. That's great. I do like Yaphet Kotto in almost everything he does. There's a lot of good in this particular redo of the Alfred Hitchcock Presents. So I will be revisiting at some point later down the line, talking much more about sort of season 1 probably. But you know what? This is a big recommend, and I enjoyed it greatly. I will wind out there, but before I go, may I ask, is anybody out there?
I'm not. We now return control of your television set to you until next week at this same time, when the control voice will take you to